I'm Ellie from NashvilleWife.com, and I'm here with Josh Enck. He is the President and Chief Creative Officer of Sight and Sound Theaters. Over the past 40 years, Sight and Sound Theaters has staged 28 unforgettable, uplifting productions that bring Bible stories to life. In two 2,000-seat theaters in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, and Branson, Missouri, Sight and Sound attracts approximately 1 million visitors each year. It's good to have you with us.
Yeah, thank you, Ellie. It's great to be here. Thank you.
So you are the President and the Chief Creative Officer. What does that look like on a day-to-day basis?
Oh, it could be something different every single day. The 80% of my time is really on the creative side. Creating new content, new show development, and that could range from, being a co-writer of the script to directing the show on the stage. But then the executive responsibilities that I have as a second-generation family owner of the theater, looks a little different. So it really depends on what's happening that day. But if you ask me, I like to live in the creative side as much as possible. That's really where I get excited.
Can you tell me about the founding of the theater?
Yeah, we're actually celebrating our 40th year this year in 2016. And it was founded by my father and mother-in-law in 1976. And their heart was to bring the Bible to life on stage. And, that has not left us as far as our heartbeat goes, our ministry, our mission. But how we do it has changed a lot. We went from a small theater in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, to a larger theater in 1997. That theater actually burned down, but in its place we built a state-of-the-art 2,000-seat theater, and then in 2007 built a sister theater in Branson, Missouri. So we went from a handful of employees back in 1976 that were mostly the Eshelman family to 600-plus like-minded artists and designers and actors today. So it's a pretty amazing journey and story.
Are there still quite a few family members working with you?
There are, and it's something that we really kind of hold dear, but yet at the same time we don't want the family to feel like they have to be a part of Sight and Sound. But currently that we have several employees that are family members. In fact, it's exciting. My two oldest daughters are going to be in the very first show this year as background talent, and they couldn't be more excited. And so when we can, we love to expose the family to the ministry. But with what we do and how demanding it is and the level of quality that we really demand, we have people from all over the world come and work for us at Sight and Sound.
Speaking of that, how do you find your actors? What's that process like?
Yeah, that's changed over the years. It used to be that it was family and friends back in the 70s and 80s. But now it has come to the point where they find us. A story that I've been sharing recently is of an actress that I ran into last week while we were rehearsing Moses in Branson, which premieres March 5th. She was a dancer up on Broadway for the show Wicked, which is the most popular show on Broadway. And she was up there for 5 years and was very successful with it and established up there as a top-tier performer. And she is now working for us, and she said she would rather, she doesn't want to be anywhere else. The purpose behind what we do, bringing these stories to life, these stories that people, maybe have a tough time finding relevant in their own lives. For her to be a part of that, she said she didn't want to be anywhere else. So we have top-tier talent from all over the nation that find us, and we couldn't be happier with who we have.
And it's a pretty big commitment with the show running for quite a few months.
Yeah, it is. Our shows, like on a premiere year, March 12th, we premiere Samson in Lancaster to the world. It's the first time. And these shows take 3.5 years, 600 people, and a pretty big chunk of change to produce. And so when they finally premiere on the stage, it's a very exciting red carpet kind of opportunity for us. But the schedule is pretty grueling. I mean, it's 11 shows a week. These are 2.5-hour shows. It's on a 300-foot wraparound stage. The actors share the stage with live animals because they're Bible stories, so you have to have the horses and the camels and the donkeys and the dogs and all that fun stuff. And it's a 300-foot immersive experience, so it's all around you. So just the scope and the level of performance that it is it's unlike anything I've ever seen. And I've had the honor and privilege to see many live events, and I have yet to find anything that's like Sight and Sound in its scope and in its spectacle meeting story. And that's really kind of Sight and Sound's formula and forte is when spectacle meets story, we see lives changed.
Now tell me about those animals. Have you always had animals in your shows?
Since day one. My father-in-law, who was the founder, was a dairy farmer in Lancaster County, and he went from producing milk to producing stage shows, and built a massive theater in the middle of a cornfield in the middle of Amish country, and people come, over 1 million people a year, and so the DNA of Sight and Sound really is around multimedia, innovative, live stage, and the animal component. And so we have animals in every single show. And as oftentimes is the case, the animals will sometimes upstage the actors. And so sometimes we have to talk the actors off the ledge a little bit and say, but everybody loves the animals, and we've had a blast, over the years getting them implemented in the shows.
What's the training process like?
Oh, it's amazing. I mean, that's the cool thing about Sight and Sound is, we have people who are so committed in each of their crafts. And so we have trainers that have been with us for years and years, some of them going on 3 decades, that take these animals from the very beginning process all the way up through to get them stage ready. And, one particular animal I'm thinking about right now that helps tell the story is in Jonah, which Jonah's a sight to behold. It was a show that did very well for us in both locations. And, the whale that flies over the audience, is not a real whale, obviously. But to kind of represent Jonah's stubbornness and him running away from God's call, the animal that best represented that was a donkey. So we have a donkey trained to come out on stage by itself, and Jonah gets on the donkey's back and he says, "Let's get out of here, let's go, 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 go." The donkey will not move. So Jonah gets off the donkey, and he's pulling the donkey as hard as he can. He's like, "You stubborn animal, why don't you just do what I tell you to do?" And then the donkey actually sits down right in front of the audience. And then it gets up and it walks the opposite direction. Now, that's really cute and funny and amazing, but it's Jonah. That donkey just represented Jonah's story. Jonah's saying, "Why don't you just do what I told you to do?" And God's saying that to him. "Why don't you just do what I told you to do?" So we do try to weave always story into everything we do.
What's been your favorite production over the years?
I got asked that question several times recently, and it's really hard to say because each of them have so much to offer. I mean, we've presented the shows, the stories of Noah and Daniel and the Lion's Den, and Jonah and Moses and Ruth and Joseph, Christmas show, obviously the Easter show. And all of them have something obviously special and unique and life-giving. But I would probably say, and this is a show that I was very close to, is the character of Moses. Because a lot of people see him as a perfect person, that heard from God and did exactly what he was expected to do. But what they don't see is the Moses that was orphaned at age 5, who had a speech impediment, who had anger issues, actually killed a man. He ran away from God, and even named his son Gershom, which means stranger in a strange land. And it was at that point in his life, in his midlife crisis, that God showed up in the burning bush and said, you thought you blew it. You thought you ruined all your opportunities to be impactful, to be good in society. And he said, you think it's over, but it's just begun. And I love how God will meet us where we're at. And when we're at the end of ourselves, that's usually where he shows up and is most, obvious. And that's what I love about the Moses story is he takes this man that was completely broken and says, let's do this. Let's do this. Your life's about to begin.
Summing up the purpose of your theater in one sentence, what is that?
Sight and Sound Theaters brings the Bible to life through who we are and what we do. And we move people's hearts towards truth through the power of story.
There you have it. And they're getting ready to, you said Moses will be in Branson.
Correct. March 5th it opens.
And then Samson will be in Lancaster County.
You got it.
And what's next for your theater?
Well, I'd love to tell you, but I can't. You have to wait till next spring to know what I'm working on now for 2018. And not just myself, but a very large crew are working on. So you have to stay tuned in to sight-sound.com and come back and see what we're up to. We do have DVDs of our shows, so that if you can't get to the theater, the next best thing is to see the DVD, which are top quality. But I'd love for you to come and see it for yourself.
Well, thank you so much. It's been so fun to talk with you.